Greetings and welcome to Nathan Nile Official. This is my personal channel. If you've never seen my face in a video before, I'm Nathan Nile. And here sometimes I do sketches, reviews, anything else that happens to catch my fancy. First of all, not in the greatest mood right now because, long story short, cop knock came banging on my door, woke me up, saying that someone called them, and I'm like, definitely not me because you literally just woke me up. Anyways, I got a headache and I couldn't go to sleep, so I decided let's go ahead and take care of this before I forget because it's my day off, and once I get into some shit, I might just never think about this again. So let's go get this done. I watched a movie yesterday. I'm probably gonna put the name of it in the title, so you probably already know what's going on. And so yeah, yesterday I watched a movie on Peacock. It might be on other services. I saw it on Peacock. It's called The American Society of Magical Negroes. And for those of you who don't know, a magical Negro is a trope that, thankfully, it doesn't seem to be used as much modern day, but way back in the day, it's like the only way black men could get a role is by playing it because of because of laws like affirmative action and shit. And so there are a lot of magical Negroes who just like, oh, he's the only black man in the story, and literally his only role is to help make the white guy's life easier. Like Will Smith in The Legend of Bagger Vance, or what's Morgan Freeman in Bruce Almighty, or Morgan Freeman in Driving Miss Daisy, or Morgan Freeman in Shawshank Redemption. Basically, any role Morgan Freeman played. I mean, let's be honest. Morgan Freeman probably does have real magical powers. He's been alive long enough. He might have figured out some secrets. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is magical Negro, very real trope in movies. And so, as soon as I saw the title, I knew what this would be about, and so I was excited to see it. And it's doesn't I can't remember the dude's name, if it was a dude. I don't know if whatever. Can't remember their name because it's a first time director, but it's very well it's a very it's a very well written piece. But the story is that it's about a young man who's struggling to get like his art off the ground, struggling to find self confidence, and he ends up being recruited to join the American Society of Magical Negroes. Because he just has such a natural talent for going out of his way to make white people feel comfortable. It's got Justice Smith as the main character, and so far I've loved everything he's been. And I think I've only seen like 3 of his movies, but I've loved them all. He gives good performances every time. You got David Allen Greer, so there's gonna be some hilarity, but also there's some very realness to it. And basically, it's well, there's a lot to this movie. It is definitely it touches on a lot of very real subjects for a lot of people. Let's let Without going too in depth into the movie, because honestly, I think it's best for you to just experience this. But also, I'm very much aware, even before I watched it, that this movie probably isn't going to be for everyone. Because if you've ever seen, there's one movie called Dear White People, which I thought was one of the best movies ever made. If you've somehow made it this far into your life and you haven't seen that, you might be a little racist. But anyways, so I went into this movie. There's, it's a satire. There's some comedy, but it's definitely done in a more dramatic fashion, and It's a story about how magical Negroes aren't just in film and television, that they exist in the real life too, and that there's just a whole mess of black people who, if you're there long enough, you do eventually develop some actual magical powers. And their entire job is just making white people feel more comfortable and helping them excel. Because there's nothing more dangerous than a frustrated white people. Which, honestly, but I want to talk about some of the reviews. Because the thing that shocked me before I even watched it is that it doesn't necessarily have great scores. Like, it's had a lot of negative reviews, which is shocking to me because it's a really good movie. I enjoyed it. We'll get into why. I'll save that for last. But it doesn't have a lot of good reviews. And at first, I was gonna say that anyone who doesn't like this movie, you might be a little racist. But honestly, I looked at some of the reviews and some of the things that they're saying, and like it hasn't quite been 24 hours, but I've taken time to process my emotions and to actively actually listen to the things people are saying. And one of the main negatives that people are throwing at this is that it is supposed to be a scathing indictment of racism in America, but it doesn't do enough to push the envelope on that issue. And that, the premise is sound, but it gets lost behind a typical run of the mill rom com. And I see that point. I do understand the point that you're making with that kind of criticism. Here's the problem that I'm having. I think the biggest issue is that they're judging the movie on good or bad based on whether or not it hit the mark on its original premise. And I think that's it. That's the incorrect thing to do. And I say, rather than judging the movie based on what it was supposed to be, fuck you, train. Not the band train. I love the band train. There's a train out there. But rather than judging the movie for what it was supposed to be and whether or not it lived up to the hype and the expectations, judge it for what it is, because this accidentally is a great movie about mental health and the effects that other people the long-term effects that other people have on you, and how the environment that you're raised in can shape you. Because I don't know how extensively I've talked about it on this channel, but I have CPTSD, which is complex PTSD, just from growing up in an environment where I felt constantly at danger, just knowing that someone's gonna hit me today. So growing up, I got beat regularly at home. I got beat up all the time at school. It's just like every morning I woke up knowing at some point in time I'm probably gonna get punched in the face today. Don't know who's gonna do it. Don't know when they're gonna do it. Don't know what I'm gonna do to deserve this. But some point in time, somebody's going to hit me today. I woke up every morning knowing that, and that is a horrible feeling to have when you're an 8-year-old. Like, no 8-year-old should wake up knowing someone's gonna hit me today. And I think that's what really struck me about this movie, because for me, watching this movie, it's a good movie. I will recommend it. But sitting through this movie is one of the most painful experiences I have ever had in my life. It was gut-wrenching watching this character try to navigate through his life. And I realized because, well, let's be honest. There's nothing more painful in life than someone holding a mirror up to your face. Unless you're a narcissist. But, like, that's that's just that's why this movie hit with me, because watching him live his life and try to navigate jobs and personal feelings and kind of like weighing other people's needs versus his own, and it was like watching myself live my life, and kind of just, I've known this for a while, but it almost still felt like an epiphany while watching him live and grow. And it's, like I said, because it took me like 8 years of therapy to reach this realization, but and it is kind of upsetting that, oh, it just took him a few months at a shitty job to realize it. But there's this one, I don't want to, because there's this one very powerful scene at the end where he says something that just fucking struck me, and and I don't know if I can explain it without really, without, no, I can't talk about it without spoiling it. So if I've already sold you on it, just go ahead, skip this and watch it, because I'm about to spoil the ending. At the end, he has this whole speech that he's giving to this kind of a racist white douche, and he gives him this speech. And at the end, at the end of it, he's saying, this isn't verbatim, but the line is basically, I've been alive for 27 years, and I'm just now realizing that I deserve to be here, that I deserve to live. And that line just struck a chord deep within the core of my soul. Because I know that feeling. I understand that feeling. You know, being like, oh, you've been a full-grown adult for a fucking decade, and just now realizing that, hey, I have a right to be alive. I have a right to be happy. So, maybe it doesn't touch as strongly on a lot of these racial issues as it could have. Maybe it could have gone more in depth into the subject. Maybe it did not live up to its original premise. That doesn't inherently make it a bad movie just because it's not what it was supposed to be. It because it still, it accidentally does a great job of highlighting something else. It is a good movie about mental health. Because at the end of this day, I understand why they're saying that, the romantic comedy aspect might have taken up too space. I can understand the mentality of that. But at the end of the day, when you focus on it, it's really, the entire movie is about a young man learning his worth and struggling to find his voice. And I think this movie did an excellent job of doing that. So that's my review. It's hard to sit through, but it is such a good movie, and I think it is a good story, well told, and very well acted, very believable. Most of these characters, and I highly enjoyed it. And all I can say is, like, if you're one of the people that's, there's no post credit scene, but if you're one of those people that's like, oh, it seems like it's over, I don't need to sit through the credits, like, just don't rush to turn it off too quickly. Just make sure you sit all the way until the credits start rolling, because there's a fun little plot twist at the end that I've sincerely loved. Just make sure you keep paying attention until the movie is actually over, because it was fun. Anyways, so that's my review. I mean, I'd agree. I will never say this movie is bad. I can agree it's not as great as it could have been, but I think it's still such a good movie, and I think it's worth sitting through. And And I do feel, and I do still hold to the belief that a lot of these critics are being unfair in their judgment. Not that their judgment is incorrect, but just because I feel like they're judging the wrong thing. Yeah. But that's just my opinion, okay? And you don't have to take my word for it. I mean, feel free to check it out yourself if you had the chance. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think of it. And if you don't see it, tell me why. Because you're racist. I'm joking, mostly, but really. I have also looked at some Reddit, and there are some people who are mad about the villainization of the white man. But it's the same thing as, like, because it's in the same category of what was that NWA movie, Straight Outta Compton, where they're like, how come every cop has to be bad? And it's like, this movie isn't saying that every cop is bad. It's just that it's a movie written from their perspective about how they've never had a good interaction with the cops. And it's kind of the same thing with this. It's not necessarily saying that all white people suck ass, but there are definitely some white people out there that could use some education. But anyways, let's not get into that debate on this right here. All I'm saying is the movie's worth sitting through. But anyways, yeah, that's it. Um, yeah, I leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and until the next time I see you, my name is Nathan Lyle, and I hope you enjoy your day, week, month, year, however long it is until I come back on this channel.